Welcome back to some more Black Hat Python. In this one, we have actually created our detector script. Like I was mentioning in the previous video in the series, we are going to be using the OpenCV Python module here. Here's how you can install it with pip if you don't have it already. As you see, I need to do that. And once I did that, I was able to use CV2 here. And basically, what it's short for is Open Computer Vision. And this is where we start to dip our feet into the machine learning area just a little bit. Nothing too crazy with this one, but definitely some interesting stuff. So a few prerequisites for this one, right? We need some pictures that we can have it run its algorithm on and determine if there's faces in those pictures. And if so, it will write it to faces. Now, since this is using some machine learning algorithm, the nice thing is it has been trained already, and the training data is all in this XML file. Now, when I looked at that one, and you can see just how large this one is if you're interested. Let's see, WC minus L. This is how many words are in this training file. It's actually quite crazy. There's 24,350 lines. Now, this is, keep in mind, this is a smaller one for sure. There's much larger stuff out there. Sometimes with these machine learning algorithms, you could literally see, terabytes worth of data. And in this case, this one, let's see how large this file is. Probably not anything too crazy. So this one, I mean, it is fairly large. It's half a gig, but nothing crazy like you sometimes see. Now here we have some images that I selected here. I'm just going to use two for the sake of this tutorial. So this one is a bit of a side shot, and this one is a straight-on portrait photo. Now, one of the things they talk about here with this particular algorithm, and it could be a bit of a side effect of not having too big of a training file, it's only trained to recognize faces from the front, right? Frontal face. So as you'll see, it is only going to be able to recognize that second photo. Spoiler alert. But yeah, so another way we could run this, and probably ideally the way we'd run this, is by first running the recapper script that we created in the previous video in the series. And that would, from our captured traffic, ideally some of those would be images of the frontal faces of people in the images, right? And then we could run detector on all those images to determine which ones have a face, right? But unfortunately for me in my captured traffic, I didn't have any good frontal face photos. So I just went ahead and downloaded some. And that's really the thing about these tools. What's cool about the tools is we're building all these different tools, but you can use them in conjunction with one another, or even come up with creative ways to combine them as well. And that's something they allude to in the book as well. Most notably chaining these two together. But they're even talking about, hey, you can expand this with something that you learn later on in this book, in fact. And yeah, that's what the beauty is of learning different areas of programming, right? Learn some machine learning, right? Learn some web scraping, learn some, network programming. And you combine all those things in interesting ways to create something truly useful. That's why I am pretty addicted to writing code, to be honest with you. It's just really cool what you can create. You're only limited by your own skill and imagination, really. But yeah, to this code here, it's pretty simple. We just have one function here, detect function, which we're running. And we are creating these variables up here, which is a directory for the root and faces and train. And we're passing those in. And then we're going to look if there's any files in the source directory, which is root. So if there's any files in root desktop pictures, then that's where we're going to perform this facial detection on those photos, right? So anything I add to this directory that ends with a .jpeg is what will be run. So first, just in case there's some weird case issues, it will first convert to uppercase and then see if it ends with JPG. And if it doesn't, it'll just continue on. But if it does find some photos there, then it will write those files to the target directory, which is faces, right? And it will then read in the initial one, right? So full name is the name of the photo in the pictures directory, and new name is the name of the photo, which is the same name, but just in the faces directory here. And yeah, so we'll do a cv2.imageRead, imRead, which is probably the most common method that you'll see from CV2. Very commonly used. That's how you read in and tell it to read in the image file. So we're just going to pass our file from pictures and set that equal to image. And if it's none, then we just continue on. And then here we will set a variable called gray, and we're doing the CVT color. And I believe what that's doing is turning it to gray just to make it, I believe that's just to make it a little bit easier for it to run. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's just like less variables, right? You turn it to gray and it'll probably be easier for it. Now, with this variable here, training, and we're just telling it, hey, this is where the training file is. It's in the train directory. So we're building that out, and it's called this, right? And this is a file that I went and I Google searched this file, and I was able to find it on GitHub, so I could pull it down onto my local machine and put it in the training folder. And then we actually have to run this cascade classifier, passing in the training stuff. And then with the cascade variable, we can actually have it run the detection and try to detect the faces, right? So when it runs this, if it finds any of the rectangles here, then it will print that it got a face. And this is just some basic pulling out of the list only the indexes we want here. And once we do that, we could get an attribute error. And if we do, then we'll say, hey, there's no faces, right? So this for loop here is just going to write the rectangle. And I don't know if this rex here is short for rectangles. I'm not really too sure. I didn't do too much research into the documentation here because this isn't particularly something that I will find too useful right now in the sense that I want to memorize it. I'm probably not going to use this again for a while personally. But if this is something that you are going to, if you see a way that you see a big use case where you could implement this in something else that you would create, then definitely spend more time digging into the docs here. I did pretty minimal research here, but I can tell that this is creating the rectangle around the face. So if you're familiar with a lot of the modern apps you see nowadays, for example, like Face App, right? That one was really popular. It uses machine learning, computer vision, in order to detect faces, right? And so you might see a lot of things that, even cameras, right? A lot of cameras nowadays will have the little rectangles around the face, like identify people's faces so they can focus properly, automatically. And so basically we're doing something similar here. We're drawing the rectangle around the face. So we got to pass in a few points, right? So a rectangle has 4 points. So x1, x2, y1, y2. And now we're just passing some values. And once we do that, we will do a CV2 image write, and we will write that to the new image. So our original image will be untouched, and the full name one, but the new name one should have, if it detected a face, it should have a rectangle drawn around the face. So then we just run it. So let's go ahead and run that on our images. So just to recap, these are the two images that I have. So going back to here, let's go into ops scripts, Black Hat Python, and we'll do Python 3 on detector. So the first one did not find a face, and I think it's because it's not a frontal face. Obviously, it's more of a side view there. So it wasn't, the algorithm wasn't strong enough to detect that, but the frontal portrait photo here, it was able to detect that it got a face. Now, let's just go ahead and take a look at what the new file that it wrote looks like. Now, the only tricky part here is this is currently in a directory I can't get to with my Kali account, but what I could do, I suppose, is that I could just copy, let's see, we'll copy, I should probably do this on my root account. If I copy root desktop faces male portrait to, I'll just copy it to dev shm, cd there, and now I'll do a chown Kali on this file, and now I'll have access to it. So if I open it up and I'll browse for, let's see here, file system, dev shm, here we go. And there you go. That is the rectangle drawn around the face. Pretty neat stuff, honestly. Yeah, but I'm really excited about the next video that I'm going to make in the series, because we have just finished this section of Black Hat Python, and the next section that we're about to tackle is web hackery. So that will be really exciting. Actually, we're going to be doing the stuff that is a lot more near and dear to me, the web hacking stuff, the web app pen testing stuff. So doing things like making requests and looking at headers and web scraping and all kinds of cool stuff with Python. So definitely stay tuned to the channel if that's something you're interested in. And also be sure to hit the subscribe, like button as well if you enjoyed the video. And I will see you guys over in the videos on screen now. If you want to get caught up with this playlist, we've made quite a few videos by now. We are pretty well into it. Looking at my ebook on Kindle, it says we're 44% or 40-ish% through the book at this point. So we're definitely, there's definitely been a lot of videos. So go ahead and check out the videos on screen right now if you want to catch up. And I'll see you right over there. Thanks for watching.